I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Thursday, February 9th, 2017. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. Usually joined on Thursdays by 24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting Steve Wiltfong. He has chosen to take a vacation, shocker, the week after signing day. So we've brought in the man himself, so the Dean of Ohio State Recruiting, Bill Kurelic, joins us. Bill, how are you this fine morning?
Doing very well here in a slightly snowy Columbus, but doing very well nonetheless.
Steve and I always talk weather. I was going to say, we got a good dusting here. It's a white Thursday in the Gem City, so not too bad. What we're going to do today is probably won't be the longest BM5 ever, as we are getting to know the class of 2018 in earnest. Obviously, they have a few commitments. Jaden Woodby hopped on board earlier this week. We're going to go through a list of 5 positions here and ask the dean to choose who he likes better among 2 guys Ohio State is recruiting at a certain position, and then maybe get a little review of where they stand as we try and get as smart as we can on 2018. Bill, the first 2, of course I chose these first, are linebackers. Palaie, Palaie versus Terajda Mitchell. We all know Gaoteote out of Bishop Gorman. Mitchell may not be quite as well known out of Bishop Sullivan in Virginia Beach, 6'2", 232 pounds. Both are 5-star prospects. Who do you like better, and who do you think ranks higher on the board?
That's starting off with 2 5-stars that are about at the top of anybody's board in this case. But I would have to go with Palaie. I absolutely love that kid. I mean, he's played against big-time competition and absolutely excelled against big-time competition. More of a outside linebacker, certainly. And Ohio State's need right now is more in the middle with Raekwon having left. But by the time either one of these players gets to Ohio State, I will have expected someone to firmly have settled into that linebacker spot and have a year of experience. So the need will be more back towards the outside. And you're not going to find, in my opinion, anybody better than Palaie. And the good news for Ohio State fans is that the Buckeyes are in such good standing with him. I mean, he's told me that more than one occasion that after his visit to Ohio State, the Buckeyes set the bar extremely high. And I think realistically, the one school that could maybe take him away from Ohio State is USC, because he grew up a USC fan, but I still continue to like Ohio State's chances with Palaie.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there. Both Worley and Jerome Baker will be memories by the time, and there are other guys on the depth chart, but outside linebacker will become a need for sure. Here's a very interesting position. I think Ohio State's clearly made their choice, but I'd be curious to hear your opinion, and I do think they'll add one. Tight end, Jeremy Ruckert or Mustapha Muhammad?
Now, there's no question that the Buckeyes are aiming to sign a great tight end for 2018, and there's virtually no question in my mind right now that the guys at the top of the board are Ruckert and Mustapha Muhammad. But the good thing for Ohio State fans is that those aren't the only top tight ends that are interested in Ohio State. So the Buckeyes, they're going to get someone, and I tend to think it's going to be Ruckert. Again, yeah, he's the number 1 tight end on their board. He's the guy I would prefer, but not by a tremendous amount, because Muhammad is tremendous as well. If they could get both of them, I think they would try to squeeze both of them in the class, because they're just so good. It's hard to turn down a talent of that ilk in either case. But Ruckert has made several visits to Ohio State, Friday Night Lights, the Ohio State Michigan game, recently the Junior Day. Everything is trending very positively towards Ohio State. He certainly hasn't made a final decision yet. But if I were going to put that crystal ball in right now for Ruckert, it would definitely be, at this point, Ohio State. And I think that's the guy that, you got to bookmark as the guy in the class at this point. And if you can get Muhammad or, for instance, to go with him, so much the better.
Similar sized guys, both about 6'5", 230. Number 3 and 4 tight ends. So, it's ice cream flavors at this point, but it does definitely seem like Ruckert is the priority. And for a fact they're going to do. I think Kevin Wilson's going to want to make a splash with his first official recruit, being he's the tight ends coach. So I think we're looking good there, like you said. Moving on, this one's interesting to me because there's been a lot of talk lately about not enough in-state guys. Here are 2 outside linebackers from the state of Ohio, Toledo versus Cincinnati. Dallas Gant from St. John's Jesuit in Toledo, and Christopher Oats from Winton Woods, both outside linebackers. Who do you rank higher, and who ranks higher for the Buckeyes, you think?
I'm going to go with a little bit of an upset as far as, you look at the rankings, and generally Gant gets the higher ranking right now between Gant and Oats. But personally, I give the edge to Oats. And again, they're both great prospects, 2 of the top 6-7 prospects in the state of Ohio. And I've seen both of them in person. I've been very impressed with both of them in person. But I love Oats' potential, his growth potential, his athletic ability potential. He's 6'4" right now, and I'd say that's a legitimate 6'4", having stood next to him. He's not one of those kids that maybe is 6'2" when you list to it, about 6'4". And he's not at all filled out. He weighs probably 210 pounds tops right now. And he's got the frame that he's going to be a 6'4", 235, 240 pounder easily. In fact, not out of the question he could eventually move to some type of a hybrid or defensive end position. But I like Oats slightly better. Ohio State is in slightly better chance with Oats, although I think they're in pretty good shape with both of them. I'd be shocked, though, if Oats weren't eventually a Buckeye, whereas Gant is one I think will be a Buckeye, but not quite as certain as I am with Oats. So, those, again, as you mentioned, Dan, they're going to be in need of some perimeter linebackers by the time this class rolls around to enrolling at Ohio State, and those 2 guys are guys I could absolutely see in the Buckeyes class.
Yeah, I'm with you there. As I look at the board, I got a pretty good feeling they'll get both of them. Although Toledo and Cincinnati have been wonky at times as cities, I think we're in good shape there. Moving on, this one I find very interesting. Austin Fontaine, big man from DeMatha in the DMV, and Matthew Jones, big man from Erasmus Hall. There's some question as to what position Jones will play, but these are 2 of the big guys, and they get a lot of their attention. Yeah,
with Jones, he's getting talked about as an offensive lineman as well, and Ohio State's recruiting him on the side of the ball as well. With Fontaine, he's strictly a defensive lineman, and he is the elusive one technique type guy that Ohio State hasn't been able to get. And, I like both of them. I've seen Austin Fontaine in person. I saw him in person at Ohio State's camp and was extremely impressed with him. And I think I would go with slightly the upset there. I think maybe a lot of people would say Jones is the guy over Fontaine, but I think part of that is that you don't hear a lot about Fontaine. He just quietly goes about the recruiting process and is a guy that really fits Ohio State's needs pretty well as far as being the one technique. And again, he's played good competition. He's at DeMatha along with a pretty nice defensive line start there when you have Fontaine on your defensive line and a guy named Chase Young on your defensive line. So, he's a guy that I really, really like, and I'd have to go with him. As far as who Ohio State has a better chance at getting right now, that would be Jones, I would say. Although Fontaine, I think, is highly considering Ohio State, I'd put Jones as the guy that they have the slightly better chance to land than Fontaine at this point.
Yeah. Fontaine is a stud. And like you said, he is the white whale, and that he's that position we can't get or haven't been able to get. And at least he's not from Louisiana, so or Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Or
he's
Georgia.
not that far away. Exactly. So I'm hoping the Chase Young hook. If Chase Young comes in here and blows up, as he very likely could as a freshman, I don't think that will hurt at all. Last one, 2 NFL legacies. I thought these were interesting. Patrick Surtain, defensive back, and Houston Griffith, defensive back.
Well, I absolutely love Surtain as potentially an All-American type guy in college. You know, he's 6'2", 180 pounds, and he's a cornerback. Plays for his father. I love those kids that their fathers are coaches. So growing up around the game. You know, a kid though that while he's certainly fills the Schiano mold at cornerback, being a long guy with tremendous ability, he's going to be a really tough guy to get. Houston Griffith, on the other hand, you know, not quite as big at 6 foot, about 180 pounds, as you mentioned, has the bloodlines, just as Surtain does. He's a guy that Ohio State, I think, has a better chance to get than Surtain. Griffin is highly considering Ohio State. He's now going to get a season of tremendous competition, so to speak. He's at IMG Academy in Bradenton, and is going to play against the best of the best all season long, and more importantly, going to practice every day against the best of the best. And he's a guy I could see ending up at Ohio State, although if you're asking me who I rank higher and who I like a little bit better, it'd be slightly towards Surtain. But again, Griffin's a tremendous prospect as well, and somebody that I could see ending up at Ohio State eventually.
I leave you with this, Bucknutters. The class of 2018 rankings are up, and they're limited. For example, Penn State number 1 with 10 commitments. Ohio State currently checks in at number 11 with 3 commitments, but I will say this. They already have the highest average ranking per class of anybody out there. Let's see if they get that title again. We appreciate the Dean stopping by. This time next week, we'll have Steve back. Have a great one, Bucknutters.